Well, hey everybody, John Rithlin here, and these are 25 of the most hyped pay-per-view matches that disappointed horribly. And before I get into that, I want to talk about that word hype. Because hype is what wrestling has been built around for, years and years and decades and everything, from the 30s with local ads to even in the 40s, but then in the late 40s and early 50s when TV was really getting into homes and everything, you had local wrestling and even nationwide wrestling. You had these guys that became big stars. And then 50s, 60s, 70s, cable TV came along with Turner. He was cable before cable was cool. You had, Georgia Championship Wrestling. You had other wrestling on. You had syndicated TV in certain markets, in certain territories, could use that platform, TV, local or otherwise, local or even like in a few states, the entire tri-state area. That's a little, Phineas and Ferb joke right there. As a way to get people to get them drawn in, and oh wait, we see this big championship match or this big grudge match. It's taking place in this arena. It's got 10,000, 15,000 seats. We can get a ticket there. And that's how you draw fucking people in and regular people in. But then you get to the closed circuit era. And I mean, this will be quick, I promise. But the closed circuit era, Jim Crockett Promotions and WWE were kind of at the forefront of that, or did the most business. Like Jim Crockett Promotions did it for Starrcade. They would, have the big venue where Starrcade was, or even in the case, I believe, Starrcade 85. I believe it was Starrcade 85 that took place in two venues. And then they would close circuit to venues otherwise. It was a private signal precursor to pay-per-view where they would have buildings next to the big venues, Omni or in Greensboro, where people would sit down. They would pay a big price, but they would be able to sit down and watch it on screens. And then they would get hyped and then want to watch the TV and everything and then go to the show next year. And that's how you build a fucking audience. And then you get the pay-per-view. In the 90s, you had WWE, WCW, ECW. And even in the very early 2000s, you still had all three of those companies. You had TNA do their weekly pay-per-views, and then they got to where they were starting to do their monthly pay-per-views. And then Ring of Honor's been doing that. And now AEW did that with Double or Nothing. People complain about that price. That's a whole other story for another day. But the whole point of pay-per-view pricing, you want to get people to tune in, and you want people to be hyped for all of this. You want people to be hyped. I want to see these big grudge matches, these championship matches, this big blow-up, this build-up. I want to see it culminate, and I want to feel satisfied by spending my money. Some people do. Some of the pay-per-view matches, by and large, have actually delivered quite a bit. The undercard, but a lot of times, it's the main event or the semi-main or whatever it is, the big match that's all built around. If it can deliver, people are going to be happy. Unfortunately with this, and this is where I'm going to get into the countdown, I've ranted about some of these before, some of these did not work. They ultimately didn't. So that's a bit of a rundown on this, and now let's get to the countdown proper. We go to number 25, Ric Flair versus Barry Windham, NWA title, Beach Blast 93. Not good. I did do a review of Beach Blast 93 last year, and the event itself was not that good. Beach Blast 92 is much better. They kind of built this on the whole history of, they used to be horsemen and everything, and Barry and Flair had history, and it wasn't good. It was not. This is going to be kind of a countdown where I dump on a lot of these matches, but Barry was the NWA champion. He beat the Great Muta, I believe it's Super Brawl 3. It just did not work. It was one of Flair's first matches back in WCW after leaving WWE earlier in the year and after his no-compete clause ran out, but Barry was injured or something or whatever. It was only like a 12-minute match and it ended really, really stupidly. It was not very good. It wasn't very well done. And for all the hype that they surrounded this with, this is when the NWA title really didn't mean anything. And I feel bad saying that because it had such a rich history behind it. But no, it just wasn't good. And it really disappointed. And yeah, I probably could have done top 50 if I wanted, but I'm focusing on 25 here. This doesn't mean that these are the only 25. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Number 24, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, Mania 30. Well, they had a chance to make Bray Wyatt a star, and they fucked it up. They fucked it up because Super Cena, ha ha ha, had to do that. Had to be Super Cena. Had to power up, whoop-a-doo, and beat up the Wyatt family. And the Wyatt family meant absolutely nothing after this. I'm sorry, they meant nothing after this. Even though Bray Wyatt had some good feuds after this, it meant absolutely nothing. Yeah, I'm a little bit pissed off about this. Mania 30, for as good as it was, and it was pretty damn good. That Bryan Triple H match was a great goddamn opener. Bret versus Owen was better. Bret was always better than you, Triple H, no matter how much you want to say otherwise. And that main event of, Bryan, Batista, and Orton was pretty good. And there were some other good matches in there too. But Mania 30 was pretty much a two-match show. I mean, it pretty much was. It was the opening match and the closing match. I mean, you had the streak ending, but that wasn't a very good match anyway. I would put that on here, but I really wasn't all that hyped for it, and really the only reason I remember is because of the finish. But with this, Bray Wyatt, the whole thing of attacking Cena before, they had built this up for a couple months. And it's like, okay, Bray's going to win. Bray's got to win. And he didn't. He fucking didn't. And they fucking ruined him. It's been 5 goddamn years, and now he's got spoopy puppets hanging around and everything, so whatever. But yeah, they had a chance to make Bray Wyatt a star, and they didn't. And then we go to, more Bray Wyatt. We go to Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 33 for the WWE title. This is match number 23. Cool, maggots and projections and bullshit on the goddamn ring mat. Why? Why'd they do this? Why the fuck? What the fuck was the goddamn point of this? It just made Bray look like a goddamn goof. He had already won the WWE title Elimination Chamber. If they had him hold it till SummerSlam, it might have helped reinvent his character or at least save it. And they didn't. Orton had been basically the fucking heel of this whole thing. And yeah, it didn't go anywhere. It did not go anywhere. They built this up pretty damn well with like them teaming up first and then them splitting. And then them feuding after Bray had won the title. And yeah, they built this up for a good few months, and then that was it. WrestleMania 33 is a goddamn mess, by the way. But no, Bray Wyatt couldn't win. No. Bray Wyatt is a fucking loser at WrestleMania. Has Bray Wyatt won a match? Bray Wyatt has not won a match at WrestleMania. I can't believe WrestleMania 30, 31, didn't wrestle 32. 30. He has not won a match at WrestleMania. That's sad. Bray Wyatt's a goddamn loser. Well, at least character-wise. Anyway, then we get to, more Bray Wyatt. Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt, WrestleMania 31. Do they fucking hate Bray Wyatt? Bray Wyatt should have ended the streak. I get why they had Lesnar do it. I get it. I totally fucking get it. That's fine. Can't take it back. But Bray Wyatt should have ended the streak. They had Bray build up this whole goddamn thing of doing vignettes and promos and everything. He built it up pretty damn well. Bray had hurt his ankle. They'd done a whole lot to everything to mask it. It was taking place in the daytime, which was a little weird. They shouldn't have done the outdoor venue. Sorry, they shouldn't have. I love my friends in San Francisco. Well, the Niner Stadium and everything, and all the people that were there, but they shouldn't have done it there. They should have not. It was a fucking bad idea. Even though it was a great atmosphere, the fact that it was an open-air stadium, pretty ridiculous. And Bray ultimately lost. He lost, and he took some time off because he had an injured ankle. But yeah, they hyped that up and everything, and Taker, they did the spider walk and the sit-up thing, and that was about the only cool spot. And yeah, it wasn't very good. Number 21, Chris Jericho versus Triple H, Undisputed title, WrestleMania 18. They made the Undisputed Champion Stephanie McMahon's bitch. Good job! That was fucking great. It was fucking wonderful. But it was not wonderful. Jericho's Undisputed title reign was a flop. And not because he didn't try, it's because they didn't have any faith in him. Booking a cowardly champion is not the worst thing in the world. Booking a heel that wins by dirty tactics is not the worst thing in the world, if you do it right. They didn't do it right. They did not do it right at all. And they made it all about Triple H and Stephanie. The crowd popped only for Stephanie being pedigreed. Now, to be fair, Rock and Hogan had just had a match like a bit before this, so the crowd is pretty much wiped out. But this was not good. It was not good at all. For building it up since Triple H coming back from injury, winning the Royal Rumble, Jericho being the Undisputed Champion since December, it was it was one of the worst WrestleMania events ever. WrestleMania main events, at least. Not one of the worst WrestleMania events. 18 was actually pretty good overall. Taker versus Ric Flair, great. But yeah, this, not good. It just wasn't. For the hype of it, they should have just flopped it. They should have just flip-flopped it, had Jericho and Triple H in the Rock-Hogan spot. Rock and Hogan could have just had the main event. That's really what they should have done. I mean, I got nothing against Jericho being in the main event, but it's just, this did not work at all. And then we go to number 20. Sting versus Hogan for control of the company at Bound for Glory 2011. I want to say this much as the lone TNA match that's on here. Because by and large, a lot of TNA's matches have actually delivered pretty well. I'm not saying they all have. I'm not saying that. But I'm not going to turn this into a TNA dumping session because, honestly, I like a lot of what TNA did during this time. But they did some shit. This was shit. Now, it's not the last time Sting and Hogan will be featured on this list. Spoiler alert. Not that you couldn't have guessed, but this was dog shit. This was fucking dog shit. Hogan shouldn't have been wrestling. Sting shouldn't even been wrestling at this point. Sting, by this point, should have just gone to WWE earlier in the year, faced Undertaker, maybe beaten him or whatever, maybe had a match at SummerSlam and then retired. Because let's be honest, Sting probably shouldn't have been wrestling past this point. I get why he did, money, and he must have loved it, but it wasn't good. Back to this match. Yeah, they dressed this up like crazy. They had Ric Flair out there with Hogan. They made it like no DQ. They had Garrett Bischoff, Eric Bischoff's son, as the referee. He was not supposed to call the finish even if Hogan tapped out or whatever, because otherwise Sting would win control of the company and give it back to Dixie Carter. And it was bad, and it was horrible, and this match took years off my life. It was horrible. No matter how much they dressed us up, and I didn't expect much from it. Yeah, they're like, oh, the crowd popped when Hogan turned babyface or whatever. It made no sense to turn him heel anyway, which I do, by the way, have most ill-advised heel turns list, and Hogan's TNA heel turn is on there. Do not worry, I got more stuff for that list at some point. But yeah, this was bad. This was really, really bad. I mean, for all the hype they put up behind this, it actually turned out worse than I expected. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away, but it was really, really shit. And then they ended up just turning Hogan babyface right after the match. And he was on TV still for about nearly 2 years after this. It just wasn't good. It just was not good at all. We get 19. Shane Douglas versus Taz, ECW title, guilty as charged. ECW guilty as charged. 1999. They had a better match a little bit later. It wasn't good. It was not bad, but they built this up like crazy. This is kind of how they built this whole thing up where like Taz kept wanting to get Shane Douglas, but Shane Douglas was injured. He actually might have been legit injured now that I think about it. But that Shane wouldn't give him a title shot. Shane would give him a title shot. That's why the FTW title, the Fuck the World title, came up. And, you know, Taz and Sabu had it, and it was not very good. But they did this, and it was a match that it just wasn't good. They tried. This is a lone ECW match that's on here, but I just didn't care for it. It's not that both guys did not try to do something. I just didn't care for it. And I just felt for all the hype they had with it, it's like, really, that's it? That's what you're going with? No. And then we go to number 18, Undertaker versus Kane, WrestleMania 20. Hype for this one was through the roof. Wanted to see The Undertaker return as a dead man. The intro for Kane was great. The intro for Undertaker was great. And then the bell rang. And boy, did it crash. Now, it wasn't as bad as their 2010 feud, even though a couple of the matches weren't that bad. But basic, it was sloppy. Undertaker hadn't been in the ring all that much. Actually hadn't been in the ring since Survivor Series 2003, so about 4 months at that point. Because I think this WrestleMania took place in March. But this was just, it was bad. It was much more about spectacle than anything. I feel disappointed because I'm just like, wow, that's it. That's it. Undertaker won. Cool. It is what it is. But not good. Number 17, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 34. I do remember laughing about the fact that Roman Reigns did not win the title, but in retrospect, they really should have just had Roman win it. Even if Roman had lost it, like a couple months later, something, at least we would have gotten this storyline out of the way, and they didn't. And the crowd wasn't going to give it a chance. I didn't want to give it a chance. I didn't think it was a very good match. The Mania 31 match was better, not by much, but it was better. Yeah, the crowd just didn't give a shit about this. They had Reigns kick out about 20 million F5s, but then he didn't kick out one. He didn't get busted open. He was like bleeding a lot. And either it was intentional or it was bleeding. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care, honestly. I'm glad Reigns was okay, but nothing was going to get me invested in this match. It was not a good main event at all. And for all the hype they surrounded this with, building up over the past, year, no, it was just not very good at all. And then we get to number 16, Bret versus Shawn, WWE title, Survivor Series 97, Montreal Screwjob. Look, I know that it may seem like I'm being a bit biased here. Maybe if they hadn't done the Screwjob, I would have put this up here. But they did it. The crowd was hot. The crowd loved watching Bret beat the shit out of Shawn, which then again, at that point, Shawn was such a prick and such a pillhead. Why the fuck wouldn't you want to see him shit beat out of him? But Bret was going to leave, so this is the infamous Montreal Screwjob. So it's memorable, but is it memorable for the right reasons? I would argue no. Now, it's one of the most iconic moments and everything, and the match they had was decent, but the whole thing that took it away was the finish, and it just made it all about, Vince instead, and Bret going to WCW, and people still believing that Montreal was a work. Fucking idiots, but whatever. I digress. I put my hand over my face every time I I I hear that, but whatever. I know that I know this may be a controversial pick, as I get that it did kind of launch, it launched Vince McMahon as a heel character, and the whole Vince Austin thing really got going. But even though it had gotten going a couple months before, in September of '97, a lot of people forget that for some reason. But yeah, just looking back at this match, yeah, Montreal Screwjob thing was important, but the match itself was pretty fucking disappointing, even though it was good until that finish. And then we go to number 15. Chris Jericho versus Kazuki Okada, IWGP title, Dominion in Osaka, 2019. Okada carried the gassed out, nearly 50-year-old Chris Jericho to an okay match. An Okada match, if you will. I'm sorry for that. I'm not, actually. I will rag on this match even at the end of the year. I may actually do a worst New Japan matches of the year. The match was good for what it was. I did not expect much, but they're getting diminishing returns with Jericho's New Japan runs. I'm sorry. The match with Omega was fine. Actually, it was pretty damn good. Match with Naito at Dominion was decent. Match with Evil, not so much. And then the match with Naito again at Wrestle Kingdom 13. Jericho's ramped up the character work. He has done pretty damn well with that. He's a pretty damn good heel. He cannot have a long match anymore. And this match was 20, 25 minutes, and Jericho was gassed after 5. So yeah, I'm going to call it disappointing. Because I remember watching this and just thinking, I remember doing the review, and I mean, I put a link up there, but I do a lot of videos, so it ain't no longer there, but you'll have to look back on my channel format. But yeah, not good. Not good. It just wasn't. Jericho was too fucking gassed, and Okada, even though Okada cannot get everything out of everybody, he got way, way more out of Jericho than I thought, but boy, it was like carrying a sack of shit, which coincidentally kind of resembles Jericho in the ring now. Sorry, great character work, but just the guy, he's not the GOAT, he's more like a slaughtered goat wrestling in the ring now. And then we get number 14, Triple H versus Undertaker, WrestleMania 27. Not good. It just wasn't. I hated it. I would go so far as to say I hated this match. Sure, chair shots. Cool. Chair shots. That's pretty much what this match was chair shots. I did not buy into the hype or the emotion of this. I did not think that it was very, very good. I did not think necessarily that, that Triple H should have been one the end of the streak. Triple H was always somebody that could work with the top guy, but never be the top guy. It wasn't their end of the era match a year later was much better. This just wasn't very good. It did have some impactful spots. I thought it went on forever. It needed to be cut down by about 10 minutes. It did not need to be this long. Oh, Triple H is trying to avenge his buddy. It was his friend's fault for putting his career on the line or whatever, so maybe he should be yelling at Shawn. Once again, end of an era match was much better. This just wasn't. An end of an era match is by no means perfect either. I thought Shawn crying like a baby and selling the whole damn thing was a little bit much. But this, I'm in the minority, but I never cared for this match at all. And I think it was no holds barred or whatever. But anyway, number 13, Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan, WCW title. Ric Flair's career versus Hogan's WCW title in a cage match with Mr. T as a special guest referee and a mask guy that Sting knocked out at one point and Sherry interfered. It was at Halloween Havoc 94. They didn't gimmick the fuck out of this thing, did they? Boy, this was bad. This was only a few months removed from their Bash at the Beach 94 Classic, and Christ, it was supposed to be Ric Flair retiring for about 6 months to a year, and then coming back. Ric Flair was back in the ring by, was it Starrcade? I don't think he was actually at Starrcade. I think he retired. I think he was back in the ring by January or February. Because they had to have Hogan face off against Brutus Beefcake as the Butcher in the Starrcade 94 main event. And I'm sorry, but Brutus Beefcake being in the main event of Starrcade is why Starrcade should have been canceled after that. It's not that Brutus Beefcake's a bad guy. He just never belonged in the Starrcade main event. This match was just atrocious. It was typical Hogan, 80s offense, this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that Flair didn't have his own set routine, but Flair could get a good match and be a little more modern here and there. Even though he did some of the same shtick, he could work with younger people and do pretty well and have a different varied match. He did it with Eddie Guerrero for the U.S. title. This just wasn't good, and only Mr. T being the ref and Sherry interfering, and then Bruce Beefcake being revealed as, the masked man, the knocked out Sting, and Jimmy Hart, and everybody. He knocked out the fans because I sure as fuck wasn't interested. Even at 13 years old when I bought this pay-per-view, I said, oh boy, Bruce Beefcake, yay. I think I even flipped off the screen, actually. Once again, I'm sure he's a nice guy. He just never belonged in WCW. But this was shit. This was absolute shit. It made Flair look like a goddamn goof. Because with all the stuff, in his favor, he still couldn't win. And it was the worst goofy gimmick of shit and everything. It didn't need to be a steel cage match. It was horrible. Number 12, we are not getting any better. Undertaker versus Undertaker. Bryan Lee was fake Undertaker. Ted DiBiase's Undertaker versus Paul Bearer's Undertaker. SummerSlam 94. Bret versus Owen in a steel cage match for the WWE title was on the undercard. This was the main event. Christ! Why was this? Why did this happen? The Leslie Nielsen vignettes, by the way. If you don't know Leslie Nielsen, look up the Naked Gun movies. Also look up Day of the Animals. He was shirtless for some reason and going nuts because of heat and radiation. The 70s were weird for movies, as opposed to now, where movies are just so great and level-headed. Yeah, Undertaker versus Undertaker was shit. Bryan Lee and Taker were good friends, and I guess, first, it was a serviceable big man match, but just the spectacle of them facing off was fine. And then the bell rang, and it was actually worse than Kane versus Undertaker. It just was. The build-up forward is like, really, that's it? Oh, boy. Yay, but at least we get better as far as SummerSlam matches because, oh, God. Lex Luger versus Yokozuna, WWE title, SummerSlam 93. Luger won by countout. You cannot win the title by countout. They had Lex Luger body slam Yokozuna on the USS Intrepid in jeans, which was impressive. Because jeans aren't exactly the most, mobile, you can't exactly have good mobility in jeans. You really can't, unless you have some good talent. This then built up where they made him in the USA Lex Luger, the Lex Express, doing all this stuff and facing off against Yokozuna. And then he won by countout, and everybody celebrated like he won the goddamn title. And you know why he won by countout? Because half the locker room, reportedly, rumors, were going to walk out unless, Bret was made the champion. Don't make Luger the champion. Make don't make Luger the champion. Make Bret the champion. Well, Vince didn't want to actually have anything bad happen. He didn't want it to end on a sour note, so he had Lex Luger win by countout. That's a great way to do that, and then it took every bit of steam out of Luger. They might as well have just done the title, and Vince said, no, you're under contract. You're going to stay here. Bret will win the title eventually. But no, Yoko kept the title. Luger never won it. Quite frankly, he never deserved it because he's a piece of shit, and he helped to, contribute to the murder of Miss Elizabeth, or at least the death of Miss Elizabeth. One of the two. I hate Lex Luger, can you tell? I will praise Lex Luger, though, in another list at some point, because I can be unbiased sometimes. But, yeah, Luger won by countout. Hate it. Absolutely hate it. Terrible. Number 10, Rock vs. Cena, WWE title, WrestleMania 29. Had CM Punk been included in this, it might have been better. Well, it couldn't have been any worse. Once in a lifetime. You lied to us, WWE. Not the first wrestling company to do that, though. Yeah, Rock versus Cena. This did not need the title. Unless Punk was going to be the champion and lose. Then I would have understood it. And then Rock and Cena could have had their rematch at Extreme Rules, but Rock got injured here. And maybe having Punk in there might have prevented Rock from getting injured and Hercules being, delayed as far as shooting. Though if you saw Hercules, well, it was better than the other 2014 one that they did. The Rock Hercules movie wasn't that bad. But anyway, I digress. Not a good match. People are like, oh, I like the hype more for this because they didn't hype it up like crazy. I thought that Mania 28, that hype was pretty good. It wasn't great, but the match delivered overall. The atmosphere was great. The crowd didn't really give they kind of gave a shit, but they kind of really didn't give a shit. And they didn't want Cena to win, but Cena had to win because he had to get his win back. For Cena always gets his win back. Vince, it didn't always work for Hogan. It's not going to work for Cena. Not going to work for Reigns either. Yeah, this is bad. I'm sorry. I'm kind of running out a little bit of passion here in this kind of stuff, and these matches are getting a lot worse. Like number 9, Sting versus Triple H, WrestleMania 31. All you had to do was have Sting win his match. All you had to do was have Sting win his lone, what should have just been his lone WWE match. But no, instead of making it an icon versus Triple H, an icon in his own mind. Sorry, Triple H is not an icon in his own mind as far as his wrestling ability. Nope, let's make it about the NWO and DX. Let's make it about the Monday Night Wars. Let's do all this bullshit again. Sting feuded with the NWO. He, teamed up with the NWO Wolfpack, but that was not the NWO Black and White. And then you had X-Pac on the DX side, but he was also in the NWO for a couple years. Did anybody fucking know what they were doing here? No, they didn't. Oh, they popped for Hogan coming out. He was wearing a black shirt, which means he was probably self-loathing because he hates black people. I would let that go, except I don't believe that Hogan was actually ever sorry for what he said. I believe he was sorry he got caught. But hey, if you apologize to Titus, apologize to Big E, apologize to New Day, apologize to others, maybe I need to forget that. But moving on, the match was just shit. It was also made to be no DQ. Sting, who should have won, didn't. And he had a cool intro. I did like the intro, the drummer thing. All the guys doing the drumming and doing the weird instruments and that kind of stuff. I like that. I thought that was a pretty cool intro for Sting. And if Sting had to lose, if he lost Triple H straight up, okay. If he lost, no DQ, lost because of weapons, but no interference, fine. Nope, we gimmicked the fuck out of this, and it was shit. And it should have been good. And from November, from WrestleMania in November. Oh wait, no, that's going to be Greatest Survivor Series in the Saudi Arabia show later this year. They're going to do that, aren't they? Moving on. They hyped this up for Survivor Series 2014, and off and on and everything, but they got it all to where, okay, we're going to see Sting win his first WWE match. And he didn't. My God. Why? I will never understand why. I will never understand why Vince can't let go of the fact that a company beat him for a couple years and 83 weeks. Just, good thing we're getting into, oh boy. Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan, Icon versus Icon, SummerSlam 05. Hey, Shawn Michaels flopping around and everything and overselling. That was great. The match was shit. The match wasn't going to be good anyway. It's comical, but this match did not deliver, mainly because Hogan wanted to be a little bitch and take his ball and go home. Oh, wait, no. And these two titanic egos, by the way, Shawn Michaels, who has refused to lose to a lot of people, it's kind of funny that he got his comeuppance here. But Shawn, I think, would have been more than willing to do business. Like, you could have had Hogan win here, Shawn win later, and then you could have built up, I don't know, to maybe WrestleMania 22 or the Royal Rumble or something like that and had, Hogan win there or something like that. Nope, Hogan just beat him straight up. Shawn said, okay, I'm going to butcher this match. So, yeah, it was unprofessional. It was funny, but it was unprofessional, and it was a very bad match. We then get to number 7, Piper versus Hogan, WCW title Super Brawl 7 97. Okay, so their Starrcade 96 match was okay. The crowd was pretty hot. The crowd was on fire for Roddy Piper, which means that somebody should have gotten fire extinguishers and said, God damn it, Hot Rod, quit being so hot. We have to put out these people. I don't know what this hand motion is. It looks kind of bad. Moving on. This is the rematch and everything. The hype for this was Hogan was like, I'm going to beat Piper and everything. The WCW title's on the line, so naturally, of course, Piper wasn't going to win. Piper had spent time in Alcatraz, apparently. Which was an abandoned, condemned prison at that point. How did he get back from the island? And I think it was in San Francisco. It was in San Francisco or Los Angeles. I think it was San Francisco. The pay-per-view was. How did he get back there? Why did he spend time in Alcatraz? Why was he still dirty? Why did they sell it like this? Why did Randy Savage go heel? Randy Savage, who had been feuding with Hogan for a number of months, especially after, Hogan went heel. At Halloween Havoc 96, like a few months before, had a match, and Elizabeth got freaking yelled at by Hogan because Hogan must always... Why did Elizabeth always, why was she always yelled at by people? I'm not saying she was perfect, but for fuck's sake, good God, they always had her yelled at on screen. But anyway, yeah, we get Savage turning heel in a freaking over-gimmicked, overdone, freaking rotten match, and... Yeah, for all that hype, and it was stupid. The whole Alcatraz thing was stupid. This was dumb. WCW did a lot of shit. Good thing I'm done talking about WCW until the top 5. But we get to number 6, Brock Lesnar versus Triple H. I'm including 2 here, so it's more like 25 with an asterisk. SummerSlam 2012 and WrestleMania 29. Yeah, you had the perfect storm match at SummerSlam 2012. Not very good. They tried to build up sympathy for Triple H. Sole arm, didn't work. It was bad. It was terrible. And then Triple H put his career on the line. He would have to retire as COO or CEO or CFO or whatever. No, not CFO. So that guaranteed that if Triple H lost, he'd have to retire. So that guaranteed he was going to win. He got his win back. Brock Lesnar did not win his WrestleMania comeback match. I know that's why they probably had him beat The Undertaker, but really just don't put the stipulation here. Have Brock beat Triple H. Triple H didn't need to win over Lesnar. Then they had a steel cage match, and Brock won at Extreme Rules, and who cares? It wasn't a very good match. Both these matches were not very good. I'm sorry. The SummerSlam 2012 match might be more disappointing, but this one, the Mania 29 match, wasn't very good either. Number 5. I hate to do this. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, WWE title, WrestleMania 34. I did not expect their Wrestle Kingdom 10. I think it was Wrestle Kingdom 10. I did not expect that. I did not expect that match. What I expected was something good, and what we got was something that had flashes of brilliance, but by and large was pretty goddamn ridiculous and pretty goddamn stupid. And yeah, it had a finish that came out of nowhere, and then Shinsuke turned heel, and then failed to win the title after that. And Shinsuke was already damaged goods anyway because he lost to Jinder twice on pay-per-view. Shinsuke Nakamura, one of the toughest guys in the world, one of the toughest guys in New Japan, could not beat Jinder Mahal. Jinder Juice, as many people will call him, myself included. But yeah, he turned heel on AJ Styles. It's just, the match was disappointing. It should have been better than it was. Because the hype was great. The match was not all that good. Number 4, Goldberg versus Kevin Nash, WCW title, Starrcade 98, Streak versus Nash's quads. No, I ranted about this. I'll put an old school wrestling reviews playlist on here. And you can hear my full thoughts on Goldberg versus Nash and the hype behind it and everything. But bottom line, condensed version, Goldberg should have won here. Even though there were fans chanting Goldberg sucks, have Goldberg win here, go on a bit of a run with the title for a little longer, and then lose. And they didn't do that. And if they had to have Goldberg lose, they did the most horseshit thing where there's no DQ, people interfered, stun gun, powerbomb, 1, 2, 3. People pop for it. And then I think a lot of fans realized, shit, we just saw the golden goose get cooked. And that's what happened. And then we get to number 3. Roddy Piper versus Hulk Hogan, WCW title, steel cage match, Halloween Havoc 97. A whole bunch of Stings show up. And a steel cage thing and a fan climbing in the ring getting the shit beat out of him. And I think that might also happen at, did that also happen at Halloween Havoc 96? A fan somehow managed to get in the steel cage. Great job by WCW security, by the way. Doug Dillinger, who apparently is revered yet not very good at his job, didn't tell people, hey, maybe we need to watch the fans and make sure that nobody gets in the ring. But yeah, you had 2 guys in a cage match where they're trying to escape and they're trying to climb the cage. One guy that has 2 titanium hips. Well, wait, at least one. Actually, no, I think both hips were titanium. And then you had Hogan, who couldn't fucking move at all. You had these guys try to climb a cage. Bad idea. Over-gimmicked. Overdone. Yeah, Ray versus Eddie was the show-stealing match of this show. This was not good. We get to number 2. Hogan versus Warrior, Halloween Havoc 98. Oh, dear. Oh, the rematch and everything, and the fireball incident where Hogan tried to use the flash paper and do the fireball, and he just burned off his face because he's a clueless, racist, moronic fuck that wants to fuck his own daughter, but has to settle for rubbing lotion on her butt and everything. What the fuck, Hogan? No wonder you and Trump are friends. You want to fuck your own daughters. Sick freaks. Sick freak stuff aside. Warrior, who's also a sick freak, and I'm glad Ultimate Warrior's dead because he's a piece of shit. I don't feel bad for saying that, because Ultimate Warrior was a rotten human being. And whatever, I'm getting a little bit angry here at the end of it, as opposed to how happy I was earlier in the video. Yeah, this was shit, and it's not the Mania 6 one was that good anyway, but for fuck, god damn sake, 8.5 years later, and this is what you do? Whew! Good grief. Oh, Hogan got his win back, by the way, because Horace hit Warrior with one of the lamest chair shots in the world. Was it Horace? I think it was Horace Hogan. But anyway, it was NWO versus One Warrior Nation. Because, flipping the shit around. It's creative. It's about the most creative thing Warrior ever did that made the most goddamn sense because it was simple. Like his feeble, homophobic mind. Piece of shit. Anyway, Sting versus Hogan. WCW title, Starrcade 97 is number 1. What the fuck else do I need to say about this goddamn match? It wasn't a fast count. It wasn't any of that shit. Nick Patrick didn't fast count. Bret was there as the enforcer. It was bad. Hogan beat the shit out of Sting, even though Sting came back. Oh, and people are going to defend it. And oh, look what happened. It was a fast count, except it wasn't a fast count because Nick Patrick fucked it up. Bret restarts the match, throws Hogan in. Oh, the crowd pops because Sting won the title. And I'm just going to say this. I heard Bischoff, and Bischoff's there. I wasn't. I'm just a fan observing it. But this is my opinion. His host, Conrad Thompson, and, Bischoff were talking and everything. And Bischoff's defending it. Oh, Sting wasn't motivated. This kind of stuff. Whatever. Okay. Give him the title anyway. I'm just saying because they gave him the title. They gave him the title after a fluky finish and everything. And it ruined it because then they had the whole title held up the next night. And Super Brawl 8, which I should have put on here also, was not that good. It was bad. It was goddamn terrible. This was a goddamn atrocity. They had great hype behind it, and guess what? Eventually, they had a great buy rate and everything, and they fucked it all up. Great job, WCW. You fucked it all up. Anyway, I'm going to end this right here because I'm pissed off. Agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.